The video production process for small businesses.
From concept to camera.
Let's get into it.
Video Mavericks, the small business video marketing podcast. Presented by Workshop Media. With your hosts, Brett and Jeff, sharing a combined 40 years of video production and marketing experience. Take it away.
So what's this episode going to cover? Well, we're going to go through the entire production process from the perspective of a small business owner. So in this particular case, we're assuming that you're going to be working with an agency partner. That's not to say that this information won't be helpful if you are going to be doing some production on your own, but this is very geared towards you have chosen a video marketing agency or a video production company in the event that you are not with a marketing agency, which you should be, but we'll get into that another time. This is to help you understand what you need to know about this process so that you are adequately informed, so that you know that you're looking for the right things in an agency partner, and frankly, so that you can hold them accountable for the process going the way that it should go. So we're going to demystify the production process as a whole. We're going to make hopefully video feel a little bit more approachable for you because you'll understand at a basic level what to expect and help you understand the importance of understanding this process for making effective content, not just making videos. One other thing that's very worth noting is that this is only production.
Yes.
So in the grander scheme of video marketing, there is strategy up front and there is implementation on the back end, the actual using the content. This is not that. Those things are extremely important.
Yes.
That's not this conversation. This conversation is geared entirely around making the video or making the videos. So we won't be talking about the implementation, but don't get that confused with those things not being important. That is still critically important. This is just a point of discussion. So I think for us, in our past, we were keenly focused on production.
Early on, it was all about production because we were filmmaker minded. We wanted to make content. We wanted to use the toys and the tools make cool content. But we are more pointed with strategy and the digital marketing implementation portion of it.
That's exactly right.
Because people have to see the content. You got to put the content on the right platforms at the right times for the right people to see. Our epiphany was so good. Look at it. We're so proud of it. The clients loved it and they invested a bunch in it. And then nothing ever happened with it. There was no strategy involved up front.
And frankly, we were leaving the final push up to somebody else, which
assuming that they knew armed
that they knew, what they needed to know, and we don't do that anymore.
All of that's to say that the marketing implementation after what we're talking about in this episode today, that is a critical step.
That's right.
Once you leave the video production process. So,
but our history in production specific means that today's discussion is extremely informed.
Yes.
We have designed the frameworks that we use based on decades of experience at a professional level.
Oh, come on. We're not that old.
And so what we're sharing today, it's specifically catered to what you need to know as a business owner through this process. You're going to hear video production broken down into three major steps. You have pre-production, production, and post-production. We will affectionately call it pre, pro, and post.
Talk about pre-production.
Yeah, in pre-production, it's all about implementation of strategy in planning for the video. So in pre-production, we'll assume that the strategy sessions have already happened, understanding brand story, understanding marketing goals, these sorts of things. And we're going to start to put together specifics for how to bring a video idea to life. So in pre-production, we'll talk about things like scripting, which is writing down what the video is going to be.
And that could be not just script writing. It could be topics or interview questions. If it's a sort of documentary style, could be writing a voiceover narration. It's just kind of writing down what's gonna be delivered.
Yeah,
right?
it's
on camera.
It's putting the message and the words down on paper,
right,
so to speak. It'll also include in pre-production visual elements that gets everyone on the same page for what the piece is going to look like.
That could be a storyboard, mood board, shot deck, inspiration or reference imagery from from brands or
So you
other
threw out
stories.
some jargon there. I'm going to slow you down.
All right, what do you got?
What's a mood board
Mood board.
and a shot deck?
Oh boy! All right, so I did. I got too heady. See, I got excited.
As a production guy.
All right, so yeah. So a mood board. I mean, people know what a mood board is. That's just kind of your inspiration board, colors and imagery and things that kind of
like a vision board.
Vision board, get people excited. But that should be highly pointed towards your videos.
Yep.
A shot deck is taking imagery from reference films or videos or commercials or whatever, and essentially aligning them to a document to kind of give you a reference, give you some inspiration on what you'd like your piece to look like. That could be from lighting to shot types to all this kind of stuff. Your video company should be bringing this to the table. You shouldn't be on the hook.
Absolutely. Now they may ask you questions, and they should ask you questions about this sort of thing to get your input. But this process, I think, a really easy way to think about it is it's a way to get non-creatives and, objectively as a business leader, you don't need to be a creative. You can be a creative person, but
you can make creative decisions or be resourceful. But as you're describing creative,
we're talking about a filmmaker versus
creative services.
Yeah, that's right. It's getting the business leader and the team aligned with the people who are making the content and conveying creative ideas like what a shot looks like or how a video is going to feel is extremely important.
Oh my goodness.
And in pre-production, we are supremely focused on getting everyone aligned and understanding what the video is going to look like before we ever film a single clip.
So inside of your mind as a business owner, you might think that my film is going to look this way.
That's right.
And then inside the creative services, the video vendor, what their mind, they might have something completely different. Imagine your bathroom renovation where you hired somebody, they showed up and just started ripping tile up and putting new sinks in and new toilet and all this stuff.
I didn't want a blue bathroom.
I thought you wanted blue. I didn't even, what do you mean? So you got this brand new bathroom and
it's a bathroom.
It's a bathroom, all right, but it doesn't look like what you want. It doesn't fit your style. And so pre-production is extremely important.
And your agency partner should be asking you questions to arrive at consensus.
Let's get us all on the same page.
That's it.
But pre-production also has a logistics phase, right? That's just where are we parking vehicles? When are we taking lunch? What time is the CEO arriving on set? It's basically just the ins and outs of the non-creative elements of production.
Frankly, a production can live and die by logistics.
Oh my goodness. Think about we didn't have parking figured out and we're outside. Somebody's getting a ticket.
That's right.
Spaces are full. I'm parked 3 blocks away.
Very simply a schedule, a production day schedule that says we're going to be filming this portion of the content at this time with this person. Just for that very simple thing that I just said, it relies on the content being where it needs to be, meaning it's scripted and that document is where it's supposed to be. The production team is in that spot. The light is where it's supposed to be. The talent, your CEO, your CFO, whomever, is where they need to be. And they've set aside enough time. That location is cleared for that time. So that could be your office needs to be cleared out for a few minutes.
The conference room wasn't booked.
That's
right?
it.
That's a big one. That's always,
and that's we just needed 15 minutes. And now a 15-minute interview has snowballed into
they've got to cancel their afternoon meetings. You've now missed a flight. There's a lot of things that can trickle.
Yeah, it's a half day that just disappeared because of a logistics issue. And so pre-production is about solving a lot of those things.
Harping on that quite a bit. Do we love process or what? We're like, hey, where do we park? All right, so that's pre-production is obviously an important element. A lot of times we think with video production, the production phase, a lot of times we get it from clients too. It's just, where's your camera? That's a big camera. This must be a good shoot or whatever, right? It's not about pushing the button. That's one of our favorite things to do because it's creating the imagery. It's having fun on a video set, but
it's the reward, man.
If you've done pre-production well and everybody's on the same page, everybody's aligned. Yeah. Production goes so smoothly.
It's the reward for doing that work up front. And we get to all have a good time in production. And so it's sort of the final thing I'll say for pre-production is once a lot of that stuff is sorted out, you should be receiving communications from your agency partner all the way up until the date of production.
Every step of the way.
Every step of the way. There should be check-ins.
Don't wait for them to contact you either. Let them know.
You should know exactly what you're making. You should have that schedule. You know, you may see something come through your inbox called a call sheet, which is just a fancy term for a schedule. And that's going to have all the logistics for the day on it. If you have questions about that, you should absolutely ask those questions. Don't wait until the last minute. Raise those concerns. Really spend the time to look at it and make sure that you are still in charge of your production day. You know, you're still responsible for your project unfolding.
Right. I mean, you've made a significant investment likely in some good quality professional videos. So if you found the right video partner, you're going to receive this information. You're going to be informed and educated and inspired and motivated to get this done every step of the way. And if they're not providing the information and communicating the necessary information or providing these clear next steps, then ask those questions.
Yep.
You know, in no way am I saying sort of micromanage or
That's right.
get in their way. But if they're not providing you the necessary information and providing that clear path to success, then ask them questions. Ask them what a call sheet is. Ask them, you know.
That's the power of being informed. And that's sort of the point of this conversation, is just to kind of, like I said earlier, demystify some of this stuff so that you know what you don't know, perhaps.
Yep.
All right. So that takes us into production. So pre-production's done and now we're ready for shoot day. So that is what we call production.
Yep.
And
we've already kind of harped on it, but this should be so seamless, so easy now because you spent your time strategizing, covering logistics, going over what the video might end up looking like once you get through production. Everything's already been nailed down. So production should be a fun day.
It should be.
Right?
So some things you should be expecting for production, depending on the size of your project. There's going to be crew on site. Obviously, this could be 1 or 2 people. It could be a big crew, 12 people or more. They're going to have equipment, which means that stuff's got to come into the location. In a lot of cases with small businesses, the location will be your business. Yep. It may not always be that way, but a lot of times it is. So that means there's going to be impact on your space. And this should all be sorted out in pre-production, but expect for carts, expect for lights and cameras and sound equipment. And it's a busy space. I mean, it should be a well-run set, but it is busy. There will be things going on. To Jeff's point, these things should be smooth. They should be seamless. They should feel easy, and it should feel exciting.
When you see one of your production crew, and you may not have met this person, there's a lot of freelance that happens in this industry. You know, when you see somebody up on a ladder and they're taking bulbs out of your overhead lighting, you know, that's stuff that you should already be informed about.
That's right.
When they're taping down cords underneath desks and, you know, they're blocking off a particular area for safety reasons, you know, those are things that you should already know. So there shouldn't be a shock when that's happening during production. Production is quite literally just the execution of your pre-production, of everything you've done up to that point. It's sort of your next milestone.
That's right.
And that's why it should be fun.
Yep.
You shouldn't be hitting these new roadblocks, shouldn't be learning of new things on the day, or at least you should have minimized the possibility that there's some new information that's happened. Then you can all kind of attack that new information together because you're all having a good time getting the job done.
That's exactly right.
We like to go into video production getting extra things. We like to have that safety net of additional content we can get if the schedule is holding, if everything's going well. Hey, let's go ahead and get that. Let's get those additional shots for whatever, the Reels or the YouTube Shorts or whatever the case may be. Let's collect that extra content because we were so dialed, strategically aligned in pre-production.
And if your team is well informed because you're well informed, then you're far less likely to have problems like a scheduling conflict or a location issue or something like that. So if you haven't picked up on it yet, communication is a really, really, really important thing when you're in production.
I will say one additional thing about production, because again, it's just executing, right? So what's really cool about it being fun is that it is a collaborative and creative environment. There should be some wiggle room from the things that you had discussed and collaborated on in pre-production. So your agency partner should be showing you a monitor, letting you see the shot. You should have say in that. You should want to contribute because it's fun. It's a really cool thing. We always bring our clients to the monitor or give them a monitor to sit comfortably in another area to say, hey, like, what do you think there? Like, we're kind of aligning with those images that we pulled up in pre-production. Do you want to make any changes? And more often than not, they're going, oh yeah, I love it. Like, what do you think about the light over there? And we'll make a little change. And it's a collaborative environment. And that's what's really fun to us about it, is that we're bringing a creative service to people that are generally not in a creative field typically. And it becomes this kind of fun exercise. Yeah. And at the end of it, the result is something for the business,
That's
something
right. That's right.
Ultimately should be driving progress forward.
Yeah. You should be a part of this, and you should be able to enjoy it. And if it's going the way that it's supposed to go, you'll be able to pay attention to those little details and make those nuanced changes and go, let's actually have them answer that question again, because our mission statement, the words are switched a little bit different than what they said. And you're able to get to that point because everything else was sorted out.
You've been questioning the brand story. You've been questioning things and bringing that story to life in the strategy sessions and pre-production.
Yep. So that's production. Now we get into the next phase, which is the final phase of the bigger video production process, and that's post-production.
So again, milestones up to that point, right?
Yeah.
You've gotten pre-production locked in. Everybody feels good. You've gone to video production. You're on your shoot day. It goes well. You've captured all this content.
Check.
Hopefully your video agency partner has backed that content up. If not, you should ask them. And then, post-production, new milestone, right? You're now this far along in the journey. Yeah. So what is post-production in a nutshell?
So post-production is taking all of the work from pre-production, adding it to the work from production, and then giving you something to look at. That's it.
Dang that. Yeah. That was good. That's it. That's exactly right. That's it.
And so during post-production, the video production company will have editors sorting through the content. They're going to be using all those pre-production documents, video outlines, scripts, mood boards, all those sorts of things, assembling the content based on the discussions you've already had, and presenting it back to you in what should be a phased approach. Our framework when we are doing post-production is to step our clients through what is the most bulletproof process of getting you from the end of your production day to a finished video that you already were watching in your head.
That's right.
And it's a draft process, very plainly stated. And through that, we're saying, okay, at the end of this draft, you need to know that your story is locked. So is the message there? So at that point, as the business leader who has hired this production company, you should be making sure that the story is aligned to not only what you talked about, but what you saw and heard on production day and what the business stands for in general. So checking that off, big picture stuff. As you go through the next few phases in post-production, you're sharpening it. You're going to sharpen it in terms of music. Is the music, we talked about it in pre-production, is it actually working? Is the pacing working? Does the color look like it's supposed to? Do the graphics look good?
It's everything on brand, as we say.
It's
right?
getting everything sharpened up to the point where you're seeing your vision get clearer and clearer. And if your agency partner is doing this right, you will never go backwards.
Oh, that's right. Unless something has happened in the time from pre-production to post-production.
You changed the name of the business,
that's
or
right.
so-and-so decided to retire.
It's happened. Like, those things happen, right? So, but other than that, that's why you go through pre-production. That's why you do these steps. You shouldn't be seeing draft one and hearing seeing what that's going to be at that moment.
Yeah.
You should already know what you're about to see.
Yeah.
It should be the visualization of all that you've done to that point.
Yep.
And so you can start iterating. You go, hey, that checks out. That's really great. Or I remember on the shoot where we got a comment from the CEO. Can we try that one? Oh yeah, we tried it and
Sure.
Well, I'd love to see that draft. Whatever. You can kind of collaborate in this way, but as long as there's a structure, a step through process in post production, you should not be going backwards. You're gonna feel really good. And we've even had it to where we've had draft ones fully completed and out the door because alignment in pre-production was so dialed.
That's exactly right.
We've also had it where we've gone a few extra drafts, but that's because the story and the execution of the content was a lot more detailed and required a little bit more effort. There was also more stakeholders, and
That's right.
So it's gonna vary depending on the complexity of the project.
Yep.
But there should be a step-by-step phasing of this stage.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. And you glazed over a point there that I think we need to openly acknowledge, which is the stakeholder piece. We talked about it in pre-production, that you need to have all the key folks at the table. Post-production, they need to be anyone who has to see the content and approve the content.
Yeah, whoever has approval
People who
rights.
have are in your approvals process.
That's
if
right.
that is just you, or it's your right hand, or you've got a whole team of people who are going to be a part of this, they need to be involved throughout post-production at the appropriate phases. So once the story is locked, we shouldn't be changing the story because someone couldn't put the time in later.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that a good, video production partner is not going to be understanding of these things, but it will impact your project.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You're either going to get it late, it's going to be more expensive, or you're going to have a miserable time.
Or it's not going to turn out the way it could have.
That's it.
Which is a proper representation of your business or your objectives, right? So
yeah,
that's a great point. And not having a good experience, we get it. Like a CEO may not be able to fly in or may not be able to devote the time, but video marketing and doing this right and what you're trying to do with your video marketing is a big, important step for your business.
Absolutely.
So carving out the time, don't rush into it. If we can't get him on board quick enough, we can't, or he's not going to be able to weigh in. He's given me the go ahead to approve all of this, but then weighs in later on it with a completely different perspective because he wasn't involved. Those things matter, and video marketing for your business, especially if you're going to spend the time and money on it to do it right, it matters to take the necessary steps and
put it on the pedestal.
Yeah, give it some respect, right?
And if those folks don't need to be involved, and frankly, I don't think that everyone needs to be involved in every type of video project.
It's completely up to your business.
That's it. You make those decisions, but if they're going to be involved, it is imperative that you as the leadership in this particular project scenario makes that important for everybody.
Yep.
So that you can find the success. Your video partner is, if they're the right partner, they're going to roll with the punches when they need to. Absolutely. And they should. But you can avoid pitfalls by just getting people on the same page early on. I think when you have a variety of opinions, and a variety of perspectives, that could be the linchpin of an entire production process, is having all the stakeholders in the right place at the right time. So,
yep. I'm with you.
Yeah. But so that's post-production. So at the end of that, you should have your video, and it's going to change depending on what your particular project is. You may be paralleling more than one video, and a lot of times you would be. And those things get sorted out with your production partner.
And you should be.
You should be.
One video does not rule them all.
That's it. One video doesn't work.
So
that's pretty straightforward.
But that's a different episode.
It is. Yeah.
Rapid fire, recap the episode.
Step 1, pre-production.
That's it. It's defining the concept, the script, the outline, the schedules, going through all the logistics and creative elements to set yourself up for
production. Step 2. So production is lights, camera, and action. It's the day of actual filming.
That's it. And lastly, post-production, which is quite literally the editing of the content you've collected. You're going to add in sound, music, graphics, effects, color, export the final video, but it all should be buttoned up from everything you went over in pre-production and the video production phase.
All right, and that wraps up production, which then leads into the next phase of video marketing, which is digital implementation and analytics, where you put all of this content that you've created in production to work for you. But we'll get into that in a future episode.
That's right. Thank you for joining our Video Mavericks small business video marketing show, where we provide you with the insights and the know-how to move forward with video marketing for your small business. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to never miss a future episode.
I'll see you next time.